Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So as you can see by the title of this one, today's video is going to be a little bit different than the ones that you have been seeing from me recently. And the reason why I wanted to share this with you is because a lot of you guys have been asking me for more crafting content. And I figured that my bullet journal video was kind of a good start to this because I feel like bullet journaling in general, planning, all of those things are really just a bridge between creativity and organization. So I felt like it was a good way to introduce some crafting projects into my channel and see how you guys like it. I really love the idea of doing a daily journal and documenting my life in that way from my own words, but it has been really hard for me to find a system that I can actually stick with. I wanted to do a quick flip through of 2023 and talk a little bit about why I fell off of journaling last year. So I loved setting up this 2023 journal. I got the Archer and Olive Daily Agenda book, and it is such a beautiful book. And I set up a lot of lovely pages. I used this perpetual calendar as a reading challenge, got my bookshelf that I created, my cover page that I was going to do fun words of the year and memories on, and then going into my January cover page, which I thought was so beautiful. I did pretty well in the journal for the first week. And then I just completely fell off of it. Some of that was in the beginning of the year, we got busy and I just kind of, we were still putting this apartment together, and it was hard for me to find time and carve out time to do any creative projects. And then as the year went on, things just got harder and harder in general for us. So 2023 was a really hard year for my husband and I. We both went through things individually and together that were very challenging. And I got to a point where I just didn't want to write those things down because I knew that I didn't want to revisit them again. It was hard for me to sit down and talk about what was going on, and I also didn't want to gloss over what was happening. Journaling just became something that wasn't important to me in 2023, so I just kind of fell off of it. As you can see, there are some weeks that I tried to get back into it. I tried to document trips that we were going on, things like that, because there were good moments of 2023. Not all of it was bad, but just overall, there were a lot of things that happened and a lot of things that we went through that I just didn't want to put down on paper. So I didn't. Now that 2023 is behind us and my husband and I are both in a much better place, I wanted to start journaling again. So that's my whole history on journaling up until this point. But let's get right into the 2024 setup. All right, so getting right into this 2024 bullet journal. This journal is a white Scribbles That Matter journal, and I've had it for a few years, tried to use it for a few different purposes, and never really finished it out. So it had enough space in it that I could repurpose it for this year. I cut and pasted some pages into the front, and as you can see, it made a little thick up front, but I think overall it's gonna work really nicely. I only had to cover up maybe 4 or 5 pages in the front to make it usable, so I think that it'll be fine once I start using it. In this first page, I am doing a words of the year spread, and I decided to do words of the year because I couldn't decide which word of the year I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to have something fun for this front page, something that would kind of set the tone for 2024. And so my initial thought was to do a word of the year. But when I made my list of words that I wanted to narrow down from, each one of them felt significant for the tone I wanted to set for 2024. And I couldn't really narrow it down. So I decided to just go with all of them. I believe there's 8 words in total, and I made this kind of Scrabble board out of it, and I really like the way that the page turned out. I actually really like it a lot better than I think I would have if I had just gone with one word of the year. And the words that I chose for 2024 are change, growth, stability, flourish, thrive, savor, prosper, joyful, and lively. And some of those words are kind of similar to other ones, but I really felt like each one of them had a specific purpose for this year. Going into 2024, I really wanted to focus on things that were joyful, things that allowed us to flourish in our lives, things that brought us stability. I wanted to focus on moments we could savor instead of worrying about the future. And I wanted to focus on our growth in a lot of different areas in our life. That's why I settled on these words. And now I'm just kind of going through the sticker pack. These are stickers that I have been collecting for years from different shops. And one of my goals this year is to use as many of those stickers as possible, but none of them really fit in the spread. So I'm going to use a different sticker pack for this page. All right, so this next page here is my currently, now and then. I took this idea from Joshi Corin. I will link her YouTube down below. She was a big inspiration for me to get back into this way of bullet journaling and using my journals. So I want to share her YouTube channel down below. And I liked this idea of having a currently for now and a currently for the end of the year. I feel like I should have titled it differently, but this is the title that it is, and it's totally fine. Next year when I do it again, I can think of a different, more interesting title, but it's currently now and then for now. So what I liked about this is that I am able to look back at the end of the year on the things that were important or the things that I was interested in or where our status was at the beginning of the year and compare it to how we are at the end of the year. And I feel like that really aligns with some of my words like growth and stability and thrive and prosper. I feel like being able to compare those things from the beginning of the year to the end of the year is going to be really interesting. So my categories for this currently page are savings, weight, food obsession, movie, song, TV show, book, game, big goal, brings me joy, accomplished, home projects, problem, looking forward to, and nervous about. Some of these are just fun things to look back on and think about, but some of them are really important goals for 2023 for both me and my husband as a team. So I felt like it was important to not only have the fun stuff in here, but also the serious goals that we were going to be working on included in here. All right, so going into these next two spreads, I first want to say that I lost some footage for these. I don't know what happened, but they will cut off at some point. But for these next two spreads, I got the idea from Joshi Koren as well. And what I liked about this first one is it's 101 things in 2024. Like I mentioned before, 2023 was such a low year that we really didn't do a whole lot. We didn't get out of the house. We didn't do a lot of new things, a lot of different things. So what I like about the 101 things list is that it gives me ideas for things to do. Some of those can be big things like go to the Eras tour, which we do plan to do. And some of them can be smaller, like celebrate my birthday. And while that's not necessarily a small thing, it is something I do every year. So I liked the idea that it was big things and small things. I probably won't get all of them done, but it's gonna be really fun to go through this list. On to the next spread. This one got cut off in the beginning, but I will go back and show you a little flip through of it. But this is the 24 24s in 2024. So yes, that is a lot of things. It's a lot of 24s, and it's a lot of things to do. But it can be something as simple as 24 movies watched, or 24 seasons of TV watched, or it could be more in-depth things like 24 date nights or 24 videos posted on YouTube. The idea is putting each of these things down, doing them 24 times in the year of 2024. Again, why I liked this idea is that it just gave me goals of things to do. I want to do things this year. And it's not even about just doing things. Like, we do things. We watch TV, we watch movies, we go to my parents, we take road trips and things like that. But I feel like it's important to focus on doing things intentionally. You know, when it comes to television, for example, we watch the same shows over and over because we like to have them as background noise, but we miss out on a lot of new things that come out. And we like watching TV. It's a big part of our lives, something that we connect over. So I feel like adding intentional things to do, like discover a new show, will be really fun and good to do for the new year. So I'm hoping that by putting things down in a list, it gives me the motivation and the encouragement to do more things. All right, so this last spread before we get into the cover page for January is my small moments of joy. This is something I wanted to add because I had this leftover page after my 24 24s. It's kind of a year in review page. Normally that would go at the end of your journal, but since I had this page and I didn't really have any other spreads or trackers that I wanted to add in, I felt like this was the perfect spot for it. And it's a really simple page, just 12 boxes with the month and a stamp at the top of it, as you'll see. But it's just for me to look back and remember the small moments of joy from each month. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're all small, but it's just the one thing from that month that stood out to us. So, for example, I mentioned the Eras tour. We're going to the Eras tour in October, or we plan to. So that will probably be the October thing. It's not a small thing. That's a big thing that we're going to be doing, but it is the one thing from the month that will most likely stand out. That's the idea for this page, and I'm really looking forward to, at the end of the year, being able to look back on this one. So now on to my January cover page, and I love doing these monthly cover pages. It is the main reason why I still work in a bullet journal, and it's what I look for in my daily journals because I just love doing these pages. It allows me to use more of my stash, whether it's stamps that I don't normally use in other ways, or stickers that I have lying around. It just gives me a really good opportunity to use some of my stash, and I just really like how they look, and it divides up the months really, really well. So this one I'm starting out with I believe it's the Tucker outline from Studio Calico, but I'll go ahead and link that below for you. That's how I always do the months. I got this idea from Hiba Alsabai. It's how she did her months, and I really like how it looks and being able to bring in the color in other ways. And then I'm using this other stamp from Studio Calico that I hadn't used yet, and I thought that these houses or these buildings on top of the January would be really cute, and I really like how it turned out with the colors that I used and everything. It's a very simple page to bring us into January, but it works really, really well. And the last thing I wanted to talk about in this video is my weekly pages. So I'm not going to be setting any of that up in this video because I'm approaching my weekly pages in a different way. Instead of setting up each week with all of the days in the journal, I'm just going to have a page or 2 pages or however much I need dedicated to a week. And then I'm going to be doing free form journaling within that week, because I don't know if I will be journaling every day or even every week this year. So I want it to be a little bit more loose and open in my structure for my weekly journaling. All right, guys, so that is my bullet journal setup for 2024. Now, as I mentioned, this is my daily journal. I will have my planner set up and my reading journal set up posted on YouTube soon, but this is my daily journal. I really love how it turned out. I like the new spreads that I'm using. I'm really, really looking forward to using those this year and just getting us out of our comfort zone and doing more in 2024. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like down below so I know that this is the type of content that you are interested in. And if you have not yet, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.